your ball in the trees and then you lip out the puck. But if you've got a little time, then come and spend it with us, 'cause now you're listening to the Rough Cut.
Hello, and welcome down to another episode of the Rough Cut Golf Podcast, where you join us basking in the warm glow of one of the best majors that we have witnessed in recent history. I am joined by Jacob, by Kieran, and because he feels so passionately about what went on, we have David for a special guest appearance.
Thank you very much for having me. I look forward to taking part in this podcast and/or therapy session.
Wow.
He's the only one who's turned up with a notebook as well.
Yeah. I mean,
That's pretty good.
I've got to be honest, all my notes are on the iPad, but also seared into my memory after what we witnessed last night, both good and bad. So we're going to be covering everything US Open, exactly what went on. Spoilers, Bryson won, Rory didn't, just in case you happen to miss what happened.
Thanks for reminding me.
If you had it on record, my bad. Just wanted to cover a quick couple of housekeeping things. First of all, if you are interested in Open qualifying for the British Open, the best major in golf, that is going to be going ahead next week at Hesketh. I'm teeing off at 12:50 p.m. So if you did want to have a wander around, you are more than welcome. Where you will probably not quite see the quality of golf that we've witnessed this week, but you never know.
You might.
Might not.
Well, okay.
Might not.
Are you saying Hesketh and Pinehurst are not on the same?
Nothing to do with the course.
Oh, right. Okay.
More to do
Just
with
your golf.
More
Right,
my golf,
okay.
yeah.
Fair enough.
If you expect, well, say if you're expecting to see someone like Bryson and Rory, then probably erring towards Rory
Yeah.
during the
don't
last
know.
few holes.
Might end up getting the physio out halfway through one of the rounds.
That's likely to happen.
Yeah, I can't be honest. That is very, very much on the cards.
Yeah.
Also, been playing quite a lot of golf recently, but really nothing to report. So playing in Scotland, Cruden Bay, which is well worth a visit.
Yeah.
Not overly popular with the pros.
No?
No?
How come?
It's quite fiddly, and you just couldn't hit driver a lot of places. So you were having to like steer it round, and there were some big numbers. There were some huge numbers coming in, like 15 overs, 16 overs.
When we saw that Phil Kelly was struggling, that's when we knew it was going to be difficult.
Yeah, it was.
That's the parameter of any.
That's the parameter. Like, if he's struggling, then you got no
That's your
chance.
litmus test on
Yeah,
a golf
no
course.
chance.
Yeah, it would be a good one to film around though. Like the views and the whole course was so dramatic. But the weather, honestly, it's June. It is June, and I was like 5 layers freezing. And then it went from that to being quite warm to tropical hailstorms, which I didn't know were a thing. Warm and hailing
Right, okay.
on different sides of the course as well. There was one point in the second round where I swear this is true. The entire county of Aberdeenshire, if that's a thing, was coated in a deep black cloud of rain and hail. And over our section of the course, no more than, I'm going to say, 100 meters wide, there was just a cleft in the cloud through which was pure blue sky. And that was over us for like a tunnel for like 20 minutes. Like they had to squeegee holes 3 holes away from us, and we were fine.
Really?
That's crazy.
You're in the literally the eye of the storm.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it.
Welcome to Scotland, I
Welcome
guess.
to Scotland, yeah. So
Yeah.
if you do want to go Cruden Bay, please do. And then I was over at Conway for the PGA Championships, and I crapped the bed, so we don't need to talk
Less
about
said
that.
about that, the better.
Yeah.
You played well at Cruden, though, did you not?
So.
Yeah.
Like, compared to where my game was a few weeks ago to where it is now, I'm not entirely sure. We're going to go play Hesketh today in a video, so we'll see where it gets up
I think
to.
you said that the first round at Cruden Bay, you felt that you could have actually been 4 shots better, putting-wise,
Yeah, it's,
which would have had you tied for lead.
Yeah, I actually had a little impromptu putting lesson with myself.
Oh, right.
Yeah?
With yourself.
Yeah, I got my dad to film me, and things had gone awry.
Yeah, okay.
But I think I figured it out. I putted really well at Conway, so that was good.
Good.
It's just the rest of my game that was
So
horrendous.
the lab's still staying for now.
Lab staying. I think Lab's staying long term.
Okay. Clip it.
Breaking news out of Finch Golf HQ. Shall we get to US Open?
Yeah. I think I think we've got a lot to talk about.
Mhm.
So talking about like having a little lesson with yourself, did you hear Rory talking after the third day about him having a little lesson with himself about putting?
No,
They did the Sky, the Sky interviews with the, they give it a name, what
Sky Cart.
Sky Cart,
Sky
thank
Cart.
you, with Kira, and she said we were speaking to Brad Faxon on air yesterday, and he was saying how on a plane ride a couple of weeks ago you had like a eureka moment, and his face it was like a slapped arse. Like it was almost like he was surprised that Brad had like revealed this. And he said to Kira, I don't know if anyone saw it, but like he said, "Oh, I'm surprised that Brad has been sharing our secrets and all this." So I don't know what that was about, but he went into it a little bit and just said like, "I'm not going to tell you what it was," but apparently he was on a flight and he had like a eureka moment and was like doing practice putts on the plane and stuff, which is kind of a big flex.
Who had the eureka moment? Brad or
Rory.
Rory?
He was
Oh,
just
Rory.
sat on the plane flying, and then just got up and started putting. And Kira said that Brad was speaking about it, and as soon as she mentioned it, he kind of like reacted in kind of like oh my god, why are they talking about it? Kind of it was a bit weird, but anyway.
So my question is, does Rory ask for his money back now that he's played the 72nd hole of the major?
Well, yeah, and the 15th and the 16th hole of the final round.
Yeah. So they
Well, maybe not 15.
So the problem with eureka moments, well, they only last 3 rounds and 3 quarters. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, very true. My question to you guys, I don't get to come on this pod quite a lot, so I enjoy asking you guys questions. Do you think long term, when we look back at this major, will we consider this one that Bryson won or Rory lost?
Oh, Rory lost. Rory lost it. Bryson shot over. Like if he went out and shot like a 1 under, 2 under, 3 under round, then I would have been more Bryson won it. But I think if you're 2 shots in the lead going into the final 4 holes of a major, you should win from there.
I probably just about agree with the fact that he went into the final round of a US Open, notoriously difficult to come from behind on a US Open. I think it's something like 42 now out of the last 43 winners have been leading into the last round. It's something ridiculous. That is a stat which I'm sure I saw yesterday, and I didn't daydream it. So if that's completely wrong, I apologize to all the statisticians out there.
Thank you.
It's okay. But to go into certainly a course like Pinehurst, because Pinehurst is very difficult to make birdies on. It's very easy to make like bogeys on, but if you play sensibly, like you can get pars. Like you just got to position yourself. You got to play obviously exceptionally well, but you can grind out pars around that course. Well, these guys can. So to actually chase is difficult, and Rory did that successfully and put himself in the position to be too clear. So even though Bryson, I think, did win it overall because he did play the best golf throughout the week, I don't know. It does feel like a massive loss for Rory at the same time.
Huge.
So
Did Rory have? I can't remember this. Did he ever have the outright lead by himself? Because there was a lot of like toing and froing.
On
2-shot lead.
Yeah, he was 8 under. Bryson was 6. So teeing it up on 15, he had a 2-shot lead, and then bogeyed 3 of the last 4.
and
15.
they just stank.
Yeah.
Like really whiffy, like proper ponging bogeys. Like you're just looking at it, and like throughout the whole week, it was the only time where I reckon a lot of people watching, because that course is so hard, a lot of people watching on those last 3 holes were thinking, I could have done better than that.
Over the putts.
Are you one of those people, Pete?
No, because I've played that course and I know how difficult it is, just like constantly. But it was just such a. You know what? We will dedicate a whole section to Rory. And I don't want this to become like a little kind of Rory pity party, because Bryson has just won a major and he did it in fantastic fashion. So let's not kind of skip over that. Also, probably have to say that this was probably the best major that I've seen in kind of recent history.
I agree, yeah.
I think the most compelling major I've ever seen. There's ones like it's tough comparing it against to like Phil's final major win and Tiger's Touchwood final major victory. He will win another one. Those were exciting for different reasons, but this was just 2 different golfers who are equal and opposite in so many different ways. And the war of attrition and the golf course, like I think this is maybe outside of Augusta and St Andrews my favorite major venue I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I'd
agree.
So good, and like the leaderboard at the end, apart from maybe having Scottie Scheffler there,
Yeah,
like the cream really did rise to the top.
yeah, very much so. No, I agree. I was super excited for this one. Like I think all three of us, Kieran and Pete and myself, that went to film around Pinehurst, came off that course like, I cannot wait for this major. I cannot wait to sit and watch. And it obviously helps that you've been there and you've seen it and you kind of know what tests it's going to provide. But I had a little bit of I was a little bit pessimistic about the fact that they might make it a little bit too easier, and actually going into it, we're expecting these 3 players are going to be under par, and no one, it's going to be. But and in the end, it was going to be like a 15 under winner or something. But it really offered like what I was hoping it would be. And I always see, like, I think for the last 3 majors now, you might as well, they play the first round, and whatever the leader is on the first round, that's what the win score is going to be. It's happened every major now, pretty much. Someone goes out and shoots Bryson on the first day at the Masters shoots a 7 under, winners 11. Same with this, 5 under start, 6 under winner. And it's great to see, like, I think the USPGA, they got it, well, the US PGA, they got it perfect. I think they set up the course as well as they could have. They got lucky with the weather, so they could just, control the water they put on the greens, how they're going to set up the course, everything like that. I think the pins were... There was a couple of days where there were a few where you were looking at, obviously the question was brought up of, is this fair or not? I think there was a pin on 5 one of the days, which was just where you had Rory, Xander and Scottie literally down in the bottom, and none of them could get up and down. It was just like taking it in turns, just going up and down. But no, I agree. I think in terms of, I think it's been the best major in quite a while.
It's good that that's going to be like the flagship course as well. I can't remember how many it's.
I think they got 4 more, is it?
Anchor site?
Anchor site, that's it, because that's where the USGA is, like that's their anchor place, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're like the head HQ sort of thing. So.
Yeah. I think it's 4 more in the next 15, 20
I
or
swear,
something.
I swear, it's even more than that. Like because didn't we see it was till like 2060? It's already been sort of scheduled up.
They know what's
It's
going
something
on.
ridiculous.
They did something ridiculous, like pretty much the next 30 years.
Yeah.
There's a few gaps, but it's ridiculously in the future that they planned it.
Yeah, I think I remember them saying something about 4 in a time, but maybe it's like 8 in something like that. Yeah,
It's just mental.
Yeah, what is it?
which is great to go back there that many times. Can't wait.
So cool.
It's Pinehurst. Is it Oakmont?
Oakmont's the one that's had it the most.
Yeah, Oakmont and Pebble Beach.
Yes.
Those 3.
Yes.
And to be honest, I love Pebble Beach, and that's like top of my bucket list to go to in person. But I am so excited for, it might be 5 years, 10 years until the next time that it's back at Pinehurst. But the fact that we're guaranteed to get that drama again and again.
2029, I think that just said up there at the top.
We are up to 2051.
Yeah, that's
Well,
crazy.
they know where they're playing.
It's Oakmont. Oakmont they're going back to consistently. LA Country Club, Pebble Beach, Riviera. I think they're going to.
Yeah, that's at some point. Yeah,
2031. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're keeping it fairly consistent.
Yeah.
So Shinnecock, Merion. These are courses that you do associate with the US Open. I suppose it's, apart from Riviera, it kind of feels a bit more of a closed shop, maybe. But I think for the USGA's point of view, it means that they have a lot more control over the courses, exactly how they're going to be set up, and then they can get to know them across the years and understand that this is where we want the pin on the Saturday. This is how we want the course to play. Because really, we're talking about the fairness of the golf course. For me, I think that was one of the fairest golf courses that I've seen in ages.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because you knew, I think people got used to it near the end of the week. I think to start with, when a few of the balls were kind of like on the front of the greens, they were rolling off, and it was like, oh, that's not fair. But the TV companies actually did, for a change, quite a nice job of explaining how big the effective green size was. With the graphics. So you had arrows to the side, showing all the run-up points. And it just kind of explained a lot more that even though that green was 50 meters squared, in reality, you've got 30 meters squared to actually land the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
crazy.
which for me, I think is good. And I love, again, personal preference, but I do love runoff areas. It's so much more engaging. It's so much more interesting to see these players execute shots from tight lies and these runoff areas and control spin than just meandering into some thick rough and having to play like an explosion shot out of there.
Yeah.
That doesn't interest me. I don't think it interests anyone. It's just boring. Like, to actually see creativity around those greens is something which I'll never get bored of. And like, oddly enough, Bryson was potentially one of the best at that this week, and that is not something that you associate with his game.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And just those two. If we stick on the Rory thing, like, I'd say that even though he drove the ball well, and so did Bryson, I thought that it was the putting and the short game that was just the paramount that kept them there. I thought it was the best part of their games. I thought it was brilliant.
I might surprise you with some stats later.
Oh, do you want to do that now, or are you gonna?
You can hold on.
Well, I think maybe we're obviously kind of talking about the course there. I think maybe that's the only thing which, and that we noticed this when we played Pinehurst, that you've got fairway and then you've got waste areas. There's no rough.
Yeah.
When you actually went into the waste areas, those like grass thickets, they were so tightly condensed that we went in there. I don't know. We went in there a fair bit. So obviously, I was hitting the golf ball, so we went in there a fair bit. But we never found really a lie where we were in the grass.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say, like, and you saw that this week because they kind of ricochet off, and you kind of.
They were like brush heads.
The only bad where you got is if you got stuck like behind one. If it rolled behind, you saw a few, and if you got to hit through one of them, then it is almost near impossible. But I think there's kind of that spell that Bryson went on the third day, kind of like 10 to 15, where I think he was hitting out of it every time, but still stiffed it. Like, you had shots into the green, like it wasn't as penal as obviously a US Open can be out the rough, or inverted commas rough. You could almost play out of it as well, and maybe even spin it more out of that lie.
Yeah.
And he did that quite a lot on the final round as well. Like, he wasn't driving it very well at all, but he managed to find some decent lies in the waste area where you've got all this grass, and yet consistently it was like ricocheting, a little bit of sand, a little bit of sand. Rory had a few as well. But potentially, as the years move on and those grasses kind of grow up,
That's going to make it. That's going to make it impossible.
Yeah,
literally.
that could be interesting.
Yeah,
that could be interesting. So on Bryson, how's he done it? Because let's not pretend that until a few years ago, he was not liked.
no,
Like, he was. I would potentially say he was misunderstood. Definitely, he's he's just like a golf geek who's like in the limelight, and people, well, certainly like people like Brooks and other kind of figures in the game, kind of took the mick out of him a little bit. Some of it was self-inflicted, Ropegate, for example. But how has he managed to kind of change around public opinion so much? Leading question, because I think we know the answer.
You're going to say YouTube, aren't you? Is that what you want us to say?
Was that?
Yeah. I think that's something that he openly admits as well, and that's something that I do really like as well. That in his final round press conference after, like, he was saying that I owe a lot of this to YouTube because after he was saying that his dad died, and then he started sort of his YouTube channel, it brought like a whole new. Like, how would you describe it? Like I don't know.
Perspective.
Yeah, perspective. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly right. Just like of life to him. So I just think he's. I wouldn't say he's more like in himself, but like I don't know. It's just he's just a lot better as a person now, I think.
I think the YouTube. I think what he's mentioned before is the YouTube channel allowed him to kind of express himself and show him to the general public, and then also receive praise from where he wasn't getting it before. Yeah. And he got a lot of love for the YouTube channel, and it almost opened his eyes, I think, to have more of a closer interaction with the fans and with, people that go and watch him play golf. And he's managed to kind of present himself a lot better than he was, 5 years ago. And he's now transcended that onto the golf course. And, you saw it, like, he was the most popular guy all week. I mean, being an American helps on American soil, but Rory usually, even the fact that he's from Northern Ireland, takes the crown most of the time of being the most popular guy. But the crowds, everyone was really probably rooting for Bryson more than Rory.
Well, I mean, a lot of the times I've been to kind of PGA Tour events and majors in the US, like Rory is consistently the one that they're rooting for to win. Like out and above sometimes an American, which I find quite interesting. I think it's just because he's obviously a very popular player, the way that he goes about things as well. But I think with the transformation that Bryson's gone through on YouTube and, like I said, being able to present himself in a way which kind of connects with people, because really, I mean, we're within obviously this YouTube and social kind of media bubble. If you're a tour pro and you don't have a presence and you don't kind of interact with the people kind of on YouTube, on social media, the only outlet and the only opinion that people can form of you is through the scope of your mainstream media. And that's often doesn't tell the full story. Now, if you can exactly explain how you're feeling, what you're doing to an audience which can just go watch you and not have to go through a news channel, then they're going to get to know you better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's much more direct as well. Like, you are literally talking to them.
It's much more personal.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I really felt like. Like Bryson was almost being personal with that crowd.
100%.
Like he was interacting with it.
He was
interacting
signing
with him.
flags like in the round.
Yeah, and
Just
they were being personal with him. They were saying that one of the guys was like, "When are you going to get the junior sets out?" It was so like while he was on the round. Like,
Yeah.
so that's so cool.
Well, I heard it like I think it wasn't yesterday. I think it was Saturday. But he was like walking off a tee and like a mic just calls up, like just someone screaming from the crowd, like, "When are you gonna break 50?" Like one of his YouTube series, like being yelled out at a major. It really is strange how he has managed to embrace YouTube for what it is.
Yeah.
Because there are other people. I think someone brought up the example of Will Smith. Do you remember when Will Smith tried to get into YouTube a few years ago?
Yeah.
But he came with like a production crew.
Yeah, it was a bit too.
And it was weird.
Yeah.
Because it was like he
Too
was
clean to like.
it wasn't YouTube. Whereas kind of Bryson's understood exactly what YouTube is and really embraced it.
Yeah.
And that's what people kind of
Did
love him for.
Did you hear him give Garrett a shout out as well?
No.
Yeah. So when he was doing again, testament to Bryson this week, where he went and did was it on the 15th with Smiley or maybe 16th with Smiley, for the broadcast. And they brought up the picture of him wearing the old clothes and the hickories and all that kind of stuff. And he said like, "Oh yeah, I went and did this. Yeah, I went and filmed a 9-hole match with GM Golf Garrett and so like on the stream, which is cool. I mean, not that he needs another shout. He's probably quite well known there anyway. But
I love it. I just love it. I love how far and strange things have become like in the last kind of 5 years.
Yeah,
I loved it. I loved it though. Like, and I was sort of saying to you this morning as well, when it like, should this become more of a thing? That the people get into, the players get involved with the crowd a little bit more. Obviously, Bryson was one extreme to what everyone else is, but should it become a bit more of a immersive for the fans sort of thing?
I don't think it takes a particular type of person to make it work.
True.
Because like if you think about everyone within that field, like any one of them could have a YouTube channel and like do their own thing and all the rest of it. But you can't imagine anyone else doing what Bryson has done the way that he's done it. He's just allowed himself to like completely be immersed in it and express himself in a way which is very unique and different. And I can't really think of anybody doing it the same way.
Yeah.
And it being natural.
Yeah.
With his personality of it as well. Yeah.
Well, I think if you take like two guys that we know are pros that have channels, if obviously Harrington and DeChambeau, but then if you flipped it and you imagine that Bryson did his channel like Paddy does, and Paddy did his like, it wouldn't sit as well because they do it in the style of how they would be. Like you kind of get the content and get the style of what you think from those people because of their personalities and the way they do it. Obviously, I'd love to see Harrington dressed up in old clothes and play a hickory round, but he is kind of just like you say, really bought into it, and it's probably now got to only be a matter of time that we get a match with him. That's all I'm saying.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. I think we could break 50. But I mean, he is now the best golfer on YouTube. I think he's probably the first YouTuber to win a major.
Was it up for debate?
Yeah.
He now is. Yeah, we're not quite sure to start.
But I think now he almost it's a slight different weird perspective that I reckon he imagines himself obviously as a professional golfer, one of the best in the world, but also as a YouTuber.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah.
which is weird, isn't it? Isn't it weird?
But he loves it. He literally loves YouTube so much.
And fair play, like for us, it's great as well because he's shining a light on this kind of YouTube golf world,
100%.
which, you know, we've had experiences this year with some people within the game of golf who've been involved a long time, and it's still a little bit misunderstood. Well, I say a little bit misunderstood, like completely misunderstood. Like people still don't really know what's happening on YouTube, and what Bryson is doing is kind of shining a light for that. And the fact is with YouTube as well, another reason why it's so good is that you can just go watch Bryson for free.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to watch through the telecast. And that's the most American thing I've ever
Telecast.
Telecast. But I mean, again, like Sky does get some rips every now and again.
I mean,
US TV, some of the people I follow on Twitter, it was literally like it was 5 hours yesterday. It was just hate for what was going on TV. I kind of wish I could have watched it and not on Sky.
Well, just loads of adverts.
Yeah, loads of adverts. I think Sky do a good because they're doing a thing called playing through. Have you seen this?
No.
So, the biggest criticism with US coverage is they have just the advert load is so great that it's almost unwatchable. And when I've watched TV coverage of golf events in the US, it is painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's painful.
Yep.
Makes you realise how good we have it, really.
Oh, honestly, like people in the UK moan about Sky because there are adverts, obviously, but it is you don't understand.
Yeah.
It is impossible to explain how many adverts there are on US golf coverage, because it's not only like the adverts that we think of them. Like it'll pop up and it'll be like, oh, you know, shot tracers brought to you by Verizon. Okay, great. You know, official scoring brought to you by Benny's butt rub. I don't know, just some random things that just don't make any sense.
And we get the Rolex hour here as well.
We get the Rolex.
Yeah.
And then you get playing through, and playing through is where they have a portion of the screen dedicated to the golf, so it's playing.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the screen is an advert
Just,
playing.
that's horrible.
So and like yesterday, they had Rory kind of going up to his shot out of the rough on the last, and an advert was going on, and he just had that.
Oh my god.
Honestly, frightening. Anyway, but yeah, go watch YouTube. Is the moral of the story.
Yeah.
I
I was just going to say, this is the Bryson breaks the mold because I think he's the only YouTube golfer who, in starting a YouTube channel, has gotten better at golf. The number of people who start a YouTube channel and say, it's great, but I've just got no time to practice.
Yeah.
Or it's great, but like I'm suddenly so like aware of what people are going to say about me. And like Bryson obviously like cares a lot about like public perception. That's always been one of the hallmarks of his game. The fact that he's taken this and managed to take perspective out of it and like level his game up, because he's contended in basically every single major this year, is something I've never come across. Every creator that we work with at some point will have a little bit of burnout and wants to step away from YouTube for a bit so that they can improve their golf and then come back to it. It feels that Bryson is doing.
I love it.
He's having his cake and eating it as
Yeah.
I
well.
love it. I love it. YouTube, man. It's just great because it just attracts like every sort of person in the world, and it's great because like if you think about like some of the best creators on YouTube, you've got people like kind of me, like Rick, who have been doing it for a long time, but effectively PGA Pro, started doing videos to get lessons, and then it's kind of changed into something else. But effectively PGA Pro, who's then started to do YouTube. You get people like Eric Anders Lang, who's a documentary maker, who then moved into golf, who was like, oh, this is weird, because like no one's really done that before. And now you've got a world-class golfer who's kind of moved in to do YouTube.
A valuable part of the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's just like people coming in from all over, and the whole thing is just keeps growing and raising, and it's brilliant.
On that point, do you guys know how many subs Bryson's gained this month so far?
Oh no, I don't know. I dread to think.
I've had a quick look. Do you want to have a guess?
He was on
200,000.
He's on like 690k, isn't he? Something like that. He's on like 690.
He's over 700k now.
Oh,
He was on, I want to say 660 at the start of this week. Shall we have a look at what he's
Really?
on
I
now?
think it's going to be 150, 200.
I'm gonna go 80k.
He's on 710 now.
So when I last looked, and that was like Thursday, because I watched this video because I wanted to see how many subs he was on, and I saw like 6, 8, 9. So I reckon, I'll go 40k. 40k.
Yeah, I had a look on Social Blade, and they can round up and down, but they reckon that this week he's gained 30,000 subscribers, and he's gained over 100,000 in the last 4 weeks.
100,000.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's going to go up massively.
Oh, that'll
next
keep
week.
going.
Yeah.
So Pete, you just need to go
I know.
win the US Open.
I think he also earned about $4 million this week as well.
Yeah,
So
he did all right.
you know what? As far as weeks go,
Now
that's brilliant.
This might have been super cheesy, and I can't work out if I'd have really liked it or not. I was kind of expecting, and if there was ever a time for him to do it, for him to bring the flat cap back out for the final day.
Yeah. Well, he
He
had it
did
on
at
his
the
back,
end,
didn't he?
Well, that's the thing. He had it on the bag all week, and
Mm.
obviously he spoke about like his affection and love for Payne, and how he basically went to SMU because Payne went there, and all this kind of build up. And there was just a part of me that he was going to, like, on the first tee, on the final round, he was just going to unclip the hat and just like put it on.
Stick
Like,
it on.
could you imagine?
Power
He's
up.
got the picture of him like unclipping it, putting it on top of his regular hat to roll in the final putt.
Yeah.
I was getting a little bit like worried about him, because I don't know if you watched any of his like warm up. Did you see him shank the bunker shot?
Yes, yes.
So I saw that, and then obviously his driver as well. When he was like changing that out, I was like, is he too? Is he really, really nervous? And I don't know. I saw that, I was like,
I mean, if you actually look at his last round, he did change his driver out because apparently the face of his driver was flattening out because he's just hitting it too long.
Of course.
Did you see him get the protractor out? He was like getting this sort of tool out that
Honestly,
made it.
I love
It's
it.
unbelievable.
Love the golf geeks. And he obviously put a new driver into play. Didn't drive it well at all on the final day. Like put himself into some real funky spots. But ultimately, it led to a position where he just had to par the last to win. Hits a wild shot left, kind of into past the waist area and into like a tree root under a tree. Literally the only type of that tree I think there is in Pinehurst. Like everything else is pines.
Yeah.
And he ends up out under an azalea tree, I think. Like
It's overhanging as well.
he hits it so far offline, he ended up in Georgia.
Yeah.
And then he just like whacks it into this bunker, and you're like, there's still hope here for a playoff. And then just plays. Like everyone says it's the most difficult shot in golf. And it is. Maybe the one advantage of that shot was he's kind of where he carried it was onto the downslope, and then it would run up to the pin.
Mm-hmm.
But that's probably one of the best shots to kind of win a major that I've seen under that pressure.
Well, have you seen the thing on Bryson's live profile where they have like quick facts?
I don't know.
They say like who inspired you to play, your likes and dislikes, so you can get to know the players a bit better.
Because they're just one of you guys.
Yeah. Which shot do you find most difficult? 60-yard bunker shot.
Boom. Not
Yeah.
anymore.
And there you go.
That bio will be changed today.
Yeah.
Did you see the picture of it's been going around quite, I'm sure, of him holding the cup and then raking the bunker?
No.
Have you not seen it? It's quite cold actually. It's pretty. So he's like got the rake like going out, like going over the mark that you hit with like, and he's holding the cup like. Well, it's a good. You have to have a look. If you haven't seen it, go find it. It's really cool.
Well, did you see him go and recreate it with Jason Wagner? I think his name?
Johnson Wagner.
Johnson Wagner, who does he's probably one of the more popular kind of TV kind of pundits now, because he goes round, explains what the course is, and like plays certain shots before kind of the rounds and stuff. Well, he was in that bunker after the round, trying to play that shot, and then Bryson comes over.
Oh, it was just
Like,
out and about.
This is it's in the dark basically. Like the bunker is lit up from the big screen, and he's trying to recreate the shot. Like hits it over the back. Bryson pops up from nowhere with the trophy. And he like gets in the bunker with Johnson Wagner. He's like, okay, play the shot again. Like, do this. Johnson Wagner like puts it closer, like puts it to like 2 foot away, and then like Bryson gives him the trophy.
Oh my
He's, like,
gosh.
posing the trophy.
What was this on? Like on?
I just saw it on. It was on like US TV, but I just saw it on like Twitter X this morning. And again, I can't imagine any other player doing that.
Yeah.
That is very cool.
Well, I can picture one other player doing something like that. And there's been a lot of talk about Scottie being Tiger 2.0. I think Bryson might be Phil 2.0. I think that's the comparison. Phil was always doing weird stuff with tech, trying different things, always trying to get the crowd going, and just being like really playful to like compared to like Tiger. I think Bryson is kind of heading that. Well, he hits bombs as well, which is probably that comparison. But I think they are two of a kind. Question is, can he win another 4 majors or whatever it is? But
yeah.
It's
Well,
interesting. I mean, he's got 2 US Opens now. I
I
mean,
was gonna
US Opens are the hardest ones to win. If you think about course setup, for him to get 2 of them is pretty impressive, and to actually win them in different ways, very very different courses.
Yeah, winged foot was like just a bomb and gouge, wasn't it?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
but that was at his peak protein shake.
Yeah,
Kind of
he
point.
was big.
big boy Bryson.
We saw some replays of it, and the change that he's gone through is incredible. Like, he was massive. Like, he was a big lad, and he's obviously pretty well built still, but completely different physique. And he won it. Yes, he driver great. I mean, him and Rory driving wise were the top 2, and he was only out driving Rory on average by 2 yards across the whole week, which is surprising.
Yeah.
But he won it really with his short game again, like just grinding out. He had the most birdies though, 17, which doesn't sound a lot, does it, for 4 rounds to play for a pro?
No, but that's good. I'm glad it wasn't someone running away with it.
Do you guys much prefer, like, what do you prefer? Do you prefer like a PGA sort of style where it's like 19 under winning, sort of like that sort of thing, like we had at Valhalla, or do you like the grind?
The grind.
I
yeah,
much prefer
for him, a major. Yeah.
For a
This was so much more compelling.
Yeah.
Like, Valhalla was fine, but it was birdies, and there was never really any danger around Valhalla of them having a really bad score.
Yeah.
Like Pinehurst, you felt that there was a tragedy waiting after every shot.
Yeah.
And you could see that in the players. Like, how often did you see the players hit a shot and they were like hands on the knees, like watching it, or like doing a weird finish position where they're like clinging on for dear life because they know if they go here, it's going to roll off. If they go in that bunker, there's no chance. There was so much more drama, and that's what they got, I think, absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't unfair. It was borderline so difficult, and that's what was great.
Yeah.
Because you felt that they were on the edge. But yeah, I mean, Bryson, like, just congrats. I mean, what a win. What a fantastic
Unbelievable,
performance.
yeah.
Rory? But we do have to get on to the...
Therapy is in session.
Yeah. Now, I've not made any kind of real secret of this. I'm a big Rory fan. Love the way he plays. He's one of the best players of our kind of generation. Hasn't won a major in a decade, over a decade now. And we all feel, I think, that if he wins a major, a few more would follow quite quickly.
Yeah,
It's just getting over that mental hurdle. He had quite literally it in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
It was there. It was his to win. Bryson was having a little bit of a wayward spell, missed a short putt. Rory finds himself 2 clear with 4 holes to play.
Yeah.
And things start to go awry. He hits a weird shot at the par 3 15th. Like, it's never a 7-iron on that hole. Like, never for him. Like, that's always going to go over the back unless he hits it so short that it makes no sense for him not to hit an 8-iron.
Mm-hmm.
Goes over the back, bogeys. Almost holds that putt, fine. It happens. Tough course.
Yep.
It's a fantastic drive down 16. Hits a really good second. Like, not many people finding that hole in 2. 530 yards of pure terror. That hole.
Hard hole, though. Good hole, though. Good hole.
Almost, he just missed his birdie putt. Pretty good putt. And then he has inside 3 feet. And he hits a shocking putt and misses it. 496 putts out of 496 so far this season. He's holed from that distance inside. And he has a little bit of a power lip out. And straight away, his reaction, you were like, it's almost impossible to shake off. Because you know, as a golfer, and I'm an expert in missing these kind of putts in competition, so I know exactly how it feels. It's horrible because you think, I've just thrown away a shot there. I've just given it back. And around this course, just can't afford to do it. His poor tee shot on 17, kind of goes in that bunker, gives himself an up and down, pretty decent putt from like 3 and a bit foot, straight up the hill. And then for whatever reason, he pulls out driver on the last where he's hit 3 wood into the fairway every single day. I kind of understand it in the sense that where his ball finished, if he'd have got a scoot on, the waist area ends about, I think it was about 10 yards after where his ball finished. So if he really smashes it and gets beyond it, he's just in like a bit of a sandy bit. There's no like grass there. But it ends up behind one of the toughs, hits it short, chips it up to about 3.5 foot.
Yeah, great chip.
And then he just jabs at it.
Yeah,
and
the stroke
wasn't good. Admittedly, I have to say that putt, when I've watched it back since, is very difficult. It's 3.5 feet and you're aiming like a cup outside the left and it's just so paced. It's just, you've got to just drip it in. And then he misses it. And you could see afterwards in the scoring, he was just defeated, like devastated. And it was horrible to kind of to watch, really, especially the way that Bryson won it, because it would have given him some hope.
Yeah,
and that's the worst thing.
Yeah.
Like
he would have hung around a bit, wouldn't he?
He's completely lost it. Sees what Bryson's doing, whacks it into that bunker front, and you're like, oh, that's a very difficult up and down. Maybe I've got a chance of a playoff. A little bit of hope kindled, like those 3-foot putts, that maybe they won't affect me. Maybe I can come back and I can do this. And then Bryson hits that shot, and you're like, well, that's it.
Yeah,
It's gone. Over half an hour, like the dream of winning this major again has just disappeared.
Yeah. I've really struggled to think back to a time that I felt so like demoralized and like not upset, but just like it was such a kick in the teeth of like, you just, in the most Rory way ever, you get your hopes up to a point where you almost like you're picturing him lifting the cup, and then he does what he did. I mean, I don't want to overreact, and I don't want to make it like, try and see too much into it now, but like, it really does feel that like if he can't win in those situations, is he ever going to do it? Like it was such a, because we've had, in the last 3 years, we've had kind of 3 occasions now. You've obviously had St Andrews Open where, he shot level for the day. You kind of look at it and go, well, he didn't play his best golf, but he just didn't hole any putts. And you kind of, Smith played really, really well. Obviously that up and down on 17, historic, will be remembered for ages. Last year, the LA Country Club shot level par again. Didn't take it that step further. You would have expected him to maybe, put a 1 under, 2 under round together. And if he did, he would have won. This time round, you were looking at Rory and you knew the fact that he's going to have to shoot 3-4 under to win this event. Played unbelievably. Never really watched Rory play a round of golf and not be worried about the shots. Like, I was so confident in with wedge in hand, iron, driver, putter to a certain extent as well until those last 4 holes. And then obviously he didn't do it. It almost feels like there's just different occasions now where he's either got to start from the lead and win it, go out and win it, or come from behind and win it. And he got himself in a position and he didn't do it. And it just feels like, how is this going to happen? How is it going to, what is it going to take for him to finally do it? And I don't know. I don't know Rory personally, so I can't work out his reaction to this. Because you saw at St Andrews, the reports came out of how distraught he was. He was sort of leaving the course basically in tears, being consoled by Erica, and just like you can understand why. But this time round, feels like he should be more emotional to it because of how much he's thrown away himself. It wasn't a case of he just didn't go. He was there. He should have won. I worry to think of how he's going to respond. Is he the type of guy that gets to Troon in a month, and because of this is even more passionate and even more devoted to try and win? Or are the demons of that going to stick around? And that's my worry. Is it now, we talk about how desperate he wants to win and how these kind of, demons are there. Are these demons getting heavier and heavier because of what's happened? I don't know what you guys think. I don't know if you think this is it or what's going to happen, but
I'm still waiting for him to withdraw from the Travellers, to be honest.
I can't imagine he's going to play it this way.
No. I watched his soul leave his body like 24 hours ago. So
Yeah.
I can't picture him picking up. My my take on it is, if for whatever reason Pavon hadn't made it into the final pairing and Rory was there, and it was him versus Bryson, I'd be interested. I think Rory wouldn't have made a charge.
Oh, really?
Do you think he would?
I actually, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I was like, because I think it's kind of like an Icarus situation.
Do you think the Cantlay partnership helped him? Do you think like being with
being
someone
there
that,
with Joe LaCava?
yeah, like there was.
I did think it was because Bryson was there and he was chatting with Pavon, and the two of them were getting on quite well by the looks of it. But there was, I think maybe I saw at one point, and it was literally just who's closest to the pin.
Yeah.
And like that was literally
It just removed that. He was just honed in on him.
There
That's
were a couple of great camera angles of Joe LaCava like staring Rory down. So I reckon that might have helped him a bit. But yeah, it's that thing of, right, I've got 3 shots I need to get back. I need to make a charge.
Mm-hmm.
But then he got there and he began to, like, his wax wings began to melt and like he fell down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that it would have been amazing if they would have been in the same pairing, because I think Rory thrives off, like, it would have almost turned into a little bit of a match play situation, because I didn't, obviously I didn't think Pavon was going to be making the charge, and, Cantlay was always going to be doing this sort of like level 1 under par up. So I didn't think he was going to make the charge. I only thought Rory was going to do it. So I thought if they were in the last pairing, it would really just be that to and fro where Rory can feed off what Bryson's doing. If, Bryson was hitting it right all day on the final round off the tee, Rory could have capitalised in those sorts of things. So I just felt that it would have fed him a little bit more, because then he's, he knows what's happening. The fact that Bryson's always behind him, he's always, looking over his shoulder, looking at the leaderboard all the time. So there's that, focus going and stuff like that. So I think that if he was there in front of him, I think, I personally think that would have helped him a little bit more.
I don't know. I think I might agree with David more on this one. I honestly don't think, for me, it matters like who he plays with. If he's around the lead on Sunday in a major, his biggest opponent right now are those demons which are pressing around in his head. Like, no matter how good of a golfer you are, there's only so much punishment. There's only so many arrows that you can take before you start to consistently fall down. And it feels like at the moment, something needs to happen in the sense that he gets a big lead going into the last round. Nobody pushes him. He needs a Louis Oosthuizen, St. Andrews kind of lead, it feels like. He needs to be going into that final 9, 8 shots clear.
Yeah.
And for nobody to make a charge. It's getting to the point where it feels like, if you remember Westwood, kind of like during the last, during his peak, really, it felt like he had to get so many shots clear on the final round because you knew people were going to come back at him. Mm-hmm. And they always did. It feels like that with Rory. It feels like Rory is not going to take one of these majors and win it. It feels like people are going to have to give it to him. And there's that many good golfers now. It's just not going to happen. Like, you saw that with Bryson. You saw how gritty he was during those last few holes. Like, he wanted to win it. Like, you could see how much he was striving, and you could see how much Rory was trying to protect. And you can't be protective in those situations, especially around that golf course. If
he's protecting something, why is he taking driver off 18? Why is he going at the flag and then pulls it?
That is a form of protection, though. That is a moment where he says, the shot off there is a 3-wood, which he knows because he's done it the last 3 rounds. He's hit the fairway every single time. Yeah. It's only going to leave him a wedge in to a pretty accessible pin, really, because you're getting pitching on that downslope. To get a driver out at that point is bailing out mentally. It's just saying, if I get a driver and I give it a whack, it's going to get up there and I'm going to have a wedge at it, even if it finishes in the waist area or whatever, rather than actually focusing on the shot that he should be playing, committing to that 3-wood. Getting a driver out is just like a whack. I can whack it, and it'll be fine. Yeah,
I know what you mean, but can that come down to sort of like caddy? Can that come down to that relationship there? I don't think Rory ain't backing off. Sure, I can't see him protecting. I can't.
Like, but he has. Like, if you think about the last, again, like those majors that we just spoke about at St. Andrews, the one at LA Country Club especially, He never looked like he was
No.
going to shoot under par there. He was just so protective of everything. And it's not like he's not winning. That's the weird thing here. Like every single year, he's already won 3 times this year. One of those was the Zurich, so with Shane, but 2 stroke play tournaments he's gone out and won, and then won kind of pairs. And you're thinking, he's in really good form. But again, it's just so weird. It's like a 10-year gap by being one of the very best players in the world and not winning a major is weird. It's got to be a mental thing. And like I said, we can speak about the driver and like how that's a weird shot. We can speak about that 7-iron and how that's a weird shot at that par 3. Both of those club choices are strange, and you could probably call out Harry Diamond to say, was he agreeing with those shots, or did he kind of say, no, I think you should do this, and Rory overruled him? Ultimately, Harry Diamond has no say over missing 2 putts
Yeah.
in 3 foot
Yeah.
over to 3 holes. That's Rory. That's nothing to do with Harry Diamond.
Yeah. Rory's face, you could see it. It's a very strange thing to say, but you could see it in his cheeks how much the nerves were getting to him. Like he had like such a gaunt, ashen face, and when people say like, "What's with the long face?" He literally it was all the way down to the floor.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the reason he took driver on 18 was because he was so good off the tee. Like he was first strokes gained off the tee according to Data Golf, and he pulverized the field. So I think even when he was nervous, he still was hitting those big shots relatively well. It's when, like you say, he had to like trickle one down the slope on 18, for example, and he had to be calm. I obviously don't really have the experience of this, but I've got to imagine it's so much harder to control your nerves when you're trying to play it like a deft little controlled shot, as opposed to hitting something with everything you've got, which is what he went to do there.
And he did hit 82% of fairways this week.
Is that
He
right?
drove it great.
Like he did drive it great, and we could be sat here very much thinking like and saying, just the balls that he had to hit the driver down the last and wedge it on and hold that birdie, finally breaking the drought. Like that, the short putts we wouldn't even be thinking about, and it's just a case of if that ball had finished a little bit different against that grass hillock in the waist area, we won't be having this conversation. If Bryson's driver on that last hole had finished 4 inches more to the left under that tree root, again, we'd be having a different conversation here. But we've also been having this conversation for the last decade about Rory. Like this isn't a one-off strange event within a major. This is something consistent. And I think the reason why we do talk about it so much is we all want him to win. Now, obviously, no more than he does. Like he's desperate to win. You can see that. But you just think he just deserves more majors than 4. Like he's a double-digit major winner with the way he plays golf.
100%.
But you do feel like unless he wins one in this year or next year, like
we were talking about next year in the car, weren't we? We were looking at thinking about because he's got Quail Hollow for PGA again. If he doesn't compete at that place in a major, then they're excited to say that even then it's just a point of Portrush for the Open. Home support should be perfect for him. I think the Masters at Augusta. I'll have to check.
And people do say that's a course made for him.
They do say that quite a lot, yeah.
And he's Oakmont is the US Open as well, which is a driver's golf course.
Yep.
Like
if only if it was congressional, then he might have been. But yeah, Oakmont, perfect. Go hit it far.
Like he should. We keep saying this. This is the issue. He should be winning these events, and yet he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's just not getting over the line.
Did you? I don't know if this has come up yet, but did you see Data Golf's course fit tool?
Yeah.
And did you see where? Did you discuss it? Where Rory rates out?
No, we haven't. No.
So it's basically the sort of the bump that you get based on the course. If the course is a good fit, then you'll obviously expect it to play a bit better. I think Rory rated out 4th this week for Pinehurst. Apparently, it just suits his game as well as any place could. Bryson was ranked top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say in Rory's not defense exactly, because winning any event's hard, never mind a major. like he's not notoriously very good at US Opens. It does have to be said. Like
Rory, no,
Rory.
he's great.
Rory's got a very. I think he's got a very good track
He's
record.
finished that top 10 the last like 5 years.
Yeah.
Back in your box.
it went like T9, T7, T5, T2, and then second. But after he won at Congressional, I know what you mean though. After Congressional, I don't think he went on a good run. He missed the cut a fair few times after he won.
Yeah, and it's how many of those, like say if he gets to those top 10s, how many of them was he actually in contention with?
yeah,
because he missed the cut 2012, I believe, after he won last year.
Bit further.
Go on Wikipedia.
Keep
Get
going.
yourself sorted out.
Keep going. There's like there you go.
Is it? Look for
Go
the
down a
yellow.
little bit into those boxes. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when
Yeah, so look at that US Open in the last.
You are right though. You are
So,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I know what you mean.
So this is what I mean, and like if you think about certainly last year at LA Country Club, that really did feel like a US Open to me. This is what I mean. That wasn't for as far as like a US Open goes. Like
Did have a different feel to it.
it had a different
Very.
feel to it. Like this felt like the most US Open course in a while. But it just like Rory's always no matter the event. Like if Rory's not near the top of the leaderboard, you're probably more surprised than not because he's that good of a player. And like I say, he's winning consistently every year, just not the ones that.
Yeah, they were saying that, and he said in his interview that he changed his mindset. Obviously,
yeah.
because he had obviously had those triple cuts there, 16, 17, 18. Changed his whole mindset of it. Treats it as a grind. Treats it as it's boring golf. That a lot of people have been speaking about this week. And then since then, it's the results have been coming in. But yeah.
Yeah, as I say, he's now been since that year. He's now top 10 every year.
Since 2019.
Back to back
Yeah,
runner ups. Like
Yeah.
he, like you say, he's probably worked out this major as well as any other major now, and maybe this major is his best chance to get one. Given on, you'd think maybe the Open and this, he's not really
Other than Augusta,
of course, because it's built for him.
and other than Port Rush maybe,
And Quail Hollow, and
Quail Hollow.
is he going to do the Grand Slam?
But I don't know. I mean, because the thing is, like, we've obviously not spoken about Scottie Scheffler this week. Made the cut, but didn't kind of contend.
I'll be honest with you, it's actually kind of nice that we've not spoken about him.
Yeah, but it's unexpected.
Just to have a break,
Yeah.
but it was very. I mean, no one saw that coming.
He didn't look comfortable all week.
No.
He didn't look comfortable all week.
He looked angry. He
Yeah,
had
yeah.
a putter throw
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
calmest man in golf
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
It was
but-
because I think earlier on in the day, Billy Horschel made one of those.
Yes.
Like it spun up in the
Yeah.
air, and like I think he tried to catch it, and fell. It's like
Scotty
Scotty
just
just threw it in the air and just
He
walked
didn't
away.
even try. Yeah.
No.
He had a full on like Samson, didn't he? Got his hair cut and then just lost all his power.
That was so funny.
And the
that.
tan lines around his
I could, right now. I've never. Like, bear with me on this. This might be the stupidest thing ever. I didn't actually think that like hair, like stops a tan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just thought it goes through the hair.
Do you know what I mean? Like not to that extent.
Yeah, but if
Have
in
you
the
n-
way.
Like whenever I've had like my beard on full and it's like through the summer and I've like shaved
it's
it
not-
down, I've never
that's a good
like
point.
noticed like a weird
Could you imagine
tan
just
line.
like a beard tan?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that amount that he must have just exceptionally thick hair. And also, if you're the barber, like, what's the point? There must have been some weird lighting in that shot. What's the point where you go, I should stop. I should.
He's gone for like a skin fade,
I
isn't he?
should stop. The only thing that I could imagine was that when he's done that haircut, he's like using the tan line as like his marker. And he's like,
Yeah.
if I keep that perfect like 2 centimeter gap, like between the tan line and the rest, I can just like, that's perfectly shaped. It was just all around his head though.
It was, yeah.
No wonder he was angry. No wonder
I think a lot of people, he
he
got onto the first tee and everyone sort of went forward in their seat like, what? He's clean shaven as well. He got older.
Yeah,
I've never
yeah.
seen someone get clean shaven look older.
like him, Dustin Johnson. Like when Dustin Johnson shaves, he ages 22 years. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Never seen anything like it.
It's weird, isn't it?
Frightening. Anyway,
Actually, thinking about you do a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just haggard. I'm just a mess, aren't I? Just
Okay.
visibly ruined.
Like Rory.
One thing would say, the last thing about Rory, was he right to kind of walk away after the round? So after Bryson holed his putt, you saw Rory in the scorer's room watching it all play out. There was still a chance to make the playoff. He was just waiting to see if Bryson got up and down for his par. As soon as that putt went in, you could see, as David said, his soul leave his body, his head dropped, he turns around, said something to Harry like, oh, that's it, or let's go. They walked off. Rory got straight into a car and then drove off. From, I would say, from where that car park is, from Bryson holding his putt to Rory leaving the car park was probably under 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He just got out of there.
I to be honest, I don't blame him. I really don't. Like, maybe this is, obviously comes up from earlier on in the week when Brooks didn't do his interviews and that he made some comments about Rory, like he's not turned up to interviews before and like it should be part of what they have to do. Like, as a sportsman, they're an entertainer. They should have to stand up and, do what they have to do. I only react in how I feel like I would be. And if that happened to me, I would not want to stick around at all. I sympathise with him going.
Yeah.
I think that McGinley sort of said it, like you said, after Brooks, when he was obviously, McGinley was very annoyed about it, and there should be some sort of something in place whereby it's mandatory that every player or, everyone within a certain, within the lead has to do an interview. And, it would have been, I can agree with you, but then it would have been also nice for us to know his
See
sports.
that.
You know what I mean? Yeah, not nice, but like,
I know what you
would
mean.
be good to, see
True.
what he was thinking.
I don't think I think if this happened to another player, I don't think they'd be getting this much scrutiny though.
Yeah.
Like say if Taylor Pendrith had had gotten into the lead. It's like big Taylor Pendrith fan, by the way. Like if he'd got into the same position,
Said no one ever.
Sorry. He'd have to do the interview because people would be like, who are you?
yeah.
It's
good PR.
How did you get into this?
But say if he was there and it's like, oh my gosh, he's going to win his first major. Like, this is huge for him. Like, just like what will this do for Canadian golf? And like, oh my God, this is amazing. But you can just see like he's visibly shaking and like he's spraying the ball everywhere. And from having like the solo lead to just absolutely throwing it away on the last. And you can just see that he's having to wait around. He's got that bit of hope and then his heart breaks again, and you can see he's on the verge of tears. If you found out that someone like that declined to do media afterwards, you'd be kind of like, well, yeah, he's like probably bawling his eyes out somewhere.
Yeah.
I think you would give, like, it's still not a great look, but I think just because it's Rory, we just want to hear from him a little bit more, and so we give him a harder time every time he doesn't turn up.
Golf is horrendous when you're not playing well, when you lose something like that, because it is so personal.
Right.
Like there's no team around you in the sense of like football or anything like that.
There's no manager that can come out and
exactly. Like he's lost that tournament. He's obviously gutted about it, and you can understand exactly the feeling that you would have, and understand why he'd want to get in the car and drive away. But it was a mistake. He shouldn't have drove away. He should have waited around. He should have congratulated Bryson. He should have shook his hand. He should have said congratulations, well done, and then he should have faced up. Because one of the reasons that we like hearing Rory speak is because he is one of the leaders within the game. He's one of the best players, has been for a long time. Often speaks his mind, even if you don't agree with what he's saying. You respect the fact that he's there. Now to leave in such a fashion is completely understandable, but it's also kind of running away from your responsibilities as one of the best players in the world.
True. My counter to that as well is that Rory apparently, other than his compulsory press conferences that he had to do, declined to speak to media every other opportunity. So didn't speak to any reporters, like even the ones that have a good relationship with him. I've got to kind of imagine that that's off the back of the divorce / on again, off again thing that was going on. I think that he's been batted around by the media probably quite a bit in the last few weeks.
It's not only that. I mean, and this is something which I didn't have kind of in my notes, but I did mean to bring up. Like, we talk about him like throwing this away and all the rest of it. Like what he's been through in the last month. Obviously, we've no idea of his personal circumstances, but to go through all of that within a month, for the news to break that he's going to get divorced, to him not getting divorced, to kind of being in contention consistently, to almost winning the major championship. Like, we can talk about how mentally maybe there's some fragility there around majors, but to just be simply in this position with what's been going on, like, he must have some inner strength that kind of we don't kind of really perceive.
Yeah,
because that's incredible.
Yeah,
like to be going through all that and to be in that kind of position. And I do understand, like, obviously emotions running high with everything that's going on outside of golf as well, why you wouldn't want to be speaking to the media. But I think he has a responsibility to kind of do that.
Yeah, I think I agree with like the saying that, like, congratulating Bryson. Like, if it was flipped and Rory won it, Bryson would have lost it. I do think that Bryson would have stayed and done. That's kind of, if you were to flip it and be cynical in that sense, I do think that Bryson would have stayed and given the time. But yeah,
but I think it again is probably what we loop back on as well, just from a golf perspective, because he knew that in reality what the questions would be is, oh, we're here again.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening, Rory? Like,
I think we all know as well. Like with anything, like we can say something, do something in such a you do something in such a raw reaction to something, and then you'll do it, and then he might have got back, and then the regret would have come of like, oh, I should have stayed. Like, you just it was quick reaction. He did what he wanted to do at that time, and I'm sure he would have then had a moment of like, I should have stayed. I should have stuck around. I should have congratulated.
It's easy. Like for me, it's easy for me to say. Like, it's so easy, isn't it, to be on the outside and looking in. If ever in that kind of position and I did something like that, like he was driving, like I wouldn't even be able to drive. Like, I'd have to be carried to that car, thrown in the back, and just like I'd still be crying now, weeping. Yeah. So
he would have had a great night's sleep in those Carolina beds, though, in that Carolina hotel.
Yeah.
I don't imagine. You reckon he stayed there?
That's where we were. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if he was.
He went straight to the airport. NetJets.
You said that, didn't you? You said that he was in the air, didn't you?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, really?
Well, within like an hour and a half or something after the final putt dropped, he was in the air.
Wow.
It was something crazy like that.
Wasn't messing around.
Yeah.
So easy for us to say and easy for everyone to criticise.
So actually, Bryson, there was I don't know if you saw about this on Saturday. Bryson nearly didn't talk to the media. Apparently, there was a screaming match just off the 18th green. I think Kevin Van Valkenburg reported this, and some other people have backed this up. Bryson's agent had a screaming match with the reporters who wanted to interview him on the 18th green, and said, "You've given him such a
beep
over the last few years. Like, you've been nothing but disrespectful. Why should we be obligated to give you guys an interview now that he's doing well? We should have the opportunity to decline." And obviously, Bryson was basically giving interviews mid-round, so I don't think this was any. I don't think this came from
Bryson.
him. Yeah. But it's just a weird, like, I think maybe talking to the media probably like helped Bryson. So maybe Rory should have done it. No.
What a great tournament though.
Yeah.
Like, it was
unbelievable.
Obviously, we've honed in on like the two main guys, but like there was such nice little moments, like Francesco making a hole in one to make the cut. Amazing.
What a hero.
Yeah, it was just like, again, really great to see. Like a couple of like, obviously Pavon, showcasing himself, amazing.
I was gonna say Finau as well.
Finau,
to see him out there.
Aubert,
Aubert, yeah. I mean,
was at the top the whole time.
Aubert just like 4 or 5 really bad holes, just like completely took him out of it.
I kind of said this to you as well about Aberg. Like, do you reckon being with Bryson and playing with Bryson while he's doing all the antics, do you reckon that kind of plays on your mind a little bit?
I
don't reckon it does?
I don't think it enters his cerebral
you don't reckon it does?
wiring, no.
Yeah.
Because I think, you're thinking, oh, he's chatting to him. Should I go chat to him?
I was the first Android golfer to kind of ascend to the top of the game. I don't think it worries him.
You don't think it matters, all right.
Yeah, they need to reboot. They've not quite worked out the 3rd, 4th round like intricacies, but they'll get there.
Yeah. It's just his batteries.
It runs a little. Yeah. it
Yeah,
needs
they
to-
didn't have the charger with them to so he was just like shorting out every now and again.
Just cutting out. He almost did the impossible on the first day as well. 16 of 18 greens in reg. I know we spoke about this. Like it's meant to be harder than a hole in one
It's
to hit every green.
it's every fairway, every green.
Oh, well, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, he would have. He almost did it then. 'cause
Every
he hit
fairway, every green is like twice as hard as a hole in one.
He was
Something
two off,
stupid.
and two of them they hit the green and just rolled off, as you can imagine.
Yeah, like Obo's going to be.
He's a freak.
He's going to be great.
His
Like,
swing is
He's already good, obviously. But,
so good.
few other things. We're not doing a guest player this week. Our major picks as well. We'll kind of recap them probably next week as well. But I think we've probably got through everything. Plus, I really need a wee.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we've. Does everyone feel like they've vented enough? Just got it off
Yeah.
their chest
For now,
yet?
yeah.
Sad
Yeah.
that Brooks
Until
didn't-
next time.
Sad that Brooks didn't, come to fruition. Okay.
I reckon Brooks is secretly fuming.
Yeah, but Brooks is human.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But I think
Absolutely.
even he was there to shake Bryson's hand at the end.
Oh, was he?
Really? I think so.
There was a lot.
Unless all
He was probably
Photoshop.
grinding though.
There was a lot of live guys sort of came, didn't they?
Because they're only in the teams.
All in the team.
the teams.
Do you
Like the
know-
squads.
I-
Were any of the crushers there? I didn't see any
Yeah,
crushers.
no, I'm not sure.
No,
I'm
Paul
not sure.
Casey wasn't walking around though.
I'm actually going to a live event. I'm going to the JCB one at the end of the end of next month. So it'd be interesting to see like if he's like if everyone's like Bryson at live. So I'll report back.
Come back with findings.
A man on the ground.
Yeah.
Man on the ground.
Wow.
Let us know.
There you go. Heard it here first. Right, guys, a huge thank you for listening. A huge thank you for watching. Guys, thank you so much for being with us. David for his guest appearance. Hopefully you did
it's fun,
enjoy the US Open. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time is going to be straight after Open qualifying at Hesketh.
Is it?
So I might not be here because I might just get straight in the car.
And be
You'll
in
be
the
in the
air in an hour and a half.
and be on my way to Mallorca. So
See you guys.
see you guys. Bye.